Welcome to the third session of the Understanding Spreadsheets as Engineering Tool. This time we're going to look at lookup tables. Lookup tables are relatively simple. You have to set them up correctly, but once you set them up, they're pretty easy to use. We can even run them across tabs. So let's see this right off the bat. Look at a very simple example. Here are the 4 or 5 networks in the local area over the air. We have channel 4, 5, 8, 11, and 13. That is the Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, and PBS. I have some kind of a formula or something over here where I'm going to calculate what the average was or what grades what somebody did. I'm going to compute the channel, but I want to report what the name of the channel was. I want to look up in this table and do it here. So when I type in a 4 or a 5 or an 8, I want the thing to report back. So how do I do that? I wrote the column in ascending order here of what I'm going to look up. And right here I put my results. There's my results vector, and it has to be a column right there. I come over here, and this is what I'm going to look up. I'm going to look up the number 8. What table am I going to put in there? I want to put the formula equals lookout, open parentheses, and I'm going to put in what am I looking for? Tell me where I'm trying to look it up. And then finally, the last bit is tell me what do you want to report. That's the E27 through E31. So when I type in each one of these, it looks up the 11 in this, finds the 11, and does this. Now lookup tables are they're only trying to find things that are that value or above. So I'm going to start here, go 4, 5, 6. 6 isn't really a network. 6 hasn't quite reached ABC at channel 8, so it's still reporting NBC. 8. 9 and 10. Okay, so they're not exact. It's trying to find out what's in the value, but doesn't exceed that value. Okay, so the lookup is a lookup in. It tries to find what's the closest value in the thing without going over that value. Okay, so that's a pretty easy thing. How most people we might want to use it is, what if you're trying to do grades? Okay, if I tried to do grades, I might do here's like a 90 gets me an A, 80 gets me a B, 70 gets me a C, 60 gives me a D, and 0 through 50 gives me an F. Okay, now notice these are descending. So when I come over here and I look at my formula, I get a 40 for the class. Boo. What's the formula? I'm going to look that number up. Ignore the dollar signs for a minute. When I look at those right there, it says I can't find the grade. I come down here, 75. 75 is a C, but it's saying here it's reporting an F. Nothing about this works whatsoever because you're using a descending lookup table. Descending does not work. So come down here and let's set it up correctly. Anything above a 0 gets me an F. Anything above a 60 gets me a D. Anything above a 70 gets me a C. Anything above 80 gives me a B. Anything above a 90 gets me an A. That's the proper way. So now over here I get a 40. It looks up the 40 in the column, and the 40 is bigger than 0, but not as big as 60, so it must be a F. 40 is not that big. A 55, still boo. 55 is below that, so it's an F. 65 is over that, so it's a D. It's not quite to a C, so there's that. 75 reports back a C. 85 reports a B. 95 reports an A. 110. If you were to score a 200, you get an A. Anything above the word 90. 91. Any of that gets me an A. Okay? Anybody out there is looking and going, well, of course I could do that. But what happens if you had a list of literally 25 to 100 names and you wanted to find out what the grades were for all those different numbers? And these are nice because they're all in a particular row, but I'm going to do just typing in different numbers. You notice that every time I typed in a number, it used the formula. It went back and it looked up in that chart and it looked it up. So no matter how many grades I might be looking through, it's very easy for me to do a lookup table. Anytime you can have the spreadsheet do the work, everything is much, much better for you. Okay? Let's do something here. Let's go over to that tab we created, and the very first one was the extra tab. Okay? And in that extra tab, and here I'm in a tab a long ways away from my lookup table, and I found out I had grades. I had a 43. I'm sorry, I had an 83, and I don't know what I'm getting in this class. So I'm going to type lookup. I'm going to look up the 83. And it's asking me, where's the lookup table? So I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to go grab the lookup table. And I want to say the thing I want to use is right there. Comma. It's asking me for the result. I'm going to grab right there. Close parentheses. I just told it to use a lookup. It find I-19. I-19, there it is. I-19. It says go find the tab named Session 3 Lookup. Find in that E73377. Then look up that in that column. Then report back what's in session number 3 lookup F7377. I did that across a tab. So now, when I do different grades here, it's going back to the other tab and finding the grades. I can also do that across workbooks. Outside of Excel, outside of Calc, I can have it look at another spreadsheet and use its lookup table. Does that sound familiar to anybody, like 3D parametric data where I'm using data from one thing to do something else, like in Creo or SolidWorks? That's one of the problems when you do this, is it's just very hard to have this linked data. If I change a name, if I move something, I can screw up another part somewhere else because it's waiting for that. All I do is come over here and I change the name of lookup session number 3. I'm going to rename this one. I'm going to rename this one as lookup 2. I'm going to come back over here to extra tab. Come here. Look up there. It's now changed its name from session 03 lookup 2. Session 03 lookup 2. If I was to ever change that without telling this table to go look at the other one, it will screw up because I've lost my parameter. I've lost my link between those two. So as long as I do it inside of Excel, everything's really great as long as I do it. And that's kind of a trick also in SolidWorks or Creo. As long as I do stuff inside the system, it keeps all the parametric links together. Hopefully you got something out of that. I like lookup tables. I use them for a lot of different things. I'll rename this back before I forget. Our next thing will be on repetition. See you then.